Powered by Riverside FM.
Join us for a deeply moving conversation with Lindsay Stanton, author of The Enduring and Everlasting. Lindsay shares her inspiring journey through grief and loss and how she found solace and purpose in helping others. Learn how she navigates the complexities of grief, the power of connection, and the importance of self-care. This episode is a must listen for anyone seeking inspiration, healing, and personal growth. Tonight on Newsworthy, 2 words and 2 question marks.
Hi, this is Ed Locke with USA Mortgage. Buying your first home can be overwhelming, but here are 5 tips to make the process go smoother. Number 1, find a lender, me, Ed Locke, that can answer any questions you might have and help you get pre-approved. There are multiple options available based on your situation. Number 2, work with a real estate agent you can trust. Number 3, don't rush the process. Take your time and know that the process could take some time. Number 4, consider all the costs. Number 5, get a home inspection and review it with your realtor. Keep these tips in mind, budget for yourself, and you'll be that much closer to making your dream of homeownership a reality. So reach out to me at 502-680-0953. NMLS ID 448908, DAS Acquisition Company, LLC, doing business as USA Mortgage, NMLS ID 227262. This is not a commitment to lend. Additional terms and conditions apply. USA Mortgage is an equal housing opportunity.
He's alive! Have you checked the children? Get out!
You have scoured the podcast world and finally found us, Newsworthy with Steve and Jerry, where we delve into all things mysterious, macabre, or out of this world, and decide if they are truly newsworthy. 2 words and 2 question marks.
Well, gentlemen, Brett, I am Jerry. I am so late. I'm so sorry it's so late.
No, it's good. Like I said, I love doing this.
Yeah, well, to be fair, we've put together 2 or 3 episodes in one night tonight. So different parts and different pieces, and I'm really, really excited for our guest tonight. I'm stoked. Lindsay Stanton joins us just a little bit later. A CEO of DigiMe. She has her own website dealing with healing and grief. She talks about frequencies and vibrations, which is something that I am learning more and more about. I'm really stoked to have her on the show later tonight.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome.
I'm kind of like, if someone took a cucumber and pickled it the size of a truck, that would be a real big deal.
Have you not used that? I swear you used it.
He has. He's used it.
Just
No.
like recently, last month.
Oh, jeez.
Go ahead and tell them what wine you're drinking tonight. And by the way, the wine is the reason for that. So tell them the wine you're drinking.
Tonight, actually, I'm very sad to report it is not cold
or
sweet. It is sweet. It is not sweet, and it is not a red. And I have 1 drink left of it, and it is a Chardonnay from Bodabox. It's one of the wife's wines.
Yes.
She has no taste when it comes to wine. I love her. She's got great taste in people, no great taste in wine.
And her tastes tend to run very much the same as the wine critics, which you and I have decided are all full of crap.
Yeah,
they don't like any cold, sweet reds.
I like dark. I don't like wine very much. I like darker reds that are a little bit more bitter. I don't like sweet.
Yeah.
Why is he here?
And you're wrong.
I was just curious. Why do we have him here?
To be fair, I probably haven't drank wine since college. So
I would love to agree with you, but then we'd both be wrong.
I bet. I'm just saying that next Wednesday, when we produce a show, I could probably convince you otherwise.
really,
Which one would you use?
Oh,
The
Stella.
OG? Yeah.
Stella, baby.
Black label, right?
Yeah. I'll get you a little
The
Stella
OG.
Rosa. Ooh, ooh. You be convinced and stuck. You be like, oh, man.
Oh, man.
Also, Stella Rosa, we're still waiting for that sponsorship,
Yes,
by
we
the
are.
way.
yeah. I know it. I know it probably got lost in the mail, but
Yeah, it probably did.
might need to resend it.
No, I'm very excited for Lindsay. I'm so stoked for that.
Yeah.
That's an
Probably
exciting
the biggest
conversation.
guest we've ever had
Yeah, absolutely. By far.
as far as popularity. She's been on a ton of other podcasts. Yeah,
Very
so
intelligent lady. You can just tell it by listening to her speak. And if you Google her name, you'll find a ton of appearances she's made on news shows that is not about her book. It's not about the grieving process, which she's very well versed in. But in her professional career, you find a ton of appearances she's made there as well.
So, one of the things she talks about, and I don't want to steal any thunder from her, and I won't, but every one of us has had a loss. And we would just give anything just for another second, just to say, I'm sorry, or I love you, or miss you, or whatever. And in her mind and in her research, that's not necessarily impossible. So please stick around for the rest of the show. You're going to enjoy this. And then we talked to another folk that in a couple of weeks we're going to have an amazing guest. I can't wait for that one. Jerry is not in agreement with us that one, but that's okay. If you dig a good conspiracy theory like me and Brett, you're gonna love it in a couple of weeks.
and what we're talking about, nobody is gonna agree 100%.
No, absolutely. And there is proof, but it's not irrefutable proof.
Yeah.
What you said brings up an interesting point. I've long said that if we did agree 100%, this would be one boring ass world.
Yeah.
Politics, religion, what it just, variety is the spice of life.
We would leave the podcast. We would leave way earlier if we all agreed, because most of the time we spend another hour and a half after the podcast.
Oh my gosh, you're not kidding. Listen, speaking of variety being a spice of life, we have a huge announcement today. And I gave a hint on Encounters on Monday. If you tune in to the Encounter episodes on Monday, you probably know what's coming. However, if you don't, and this is your newsworthy fix, we have a big announcement. Does anyone want to give it out, or do you want me to do it?
Go for it. You're going to do the drum roll first?
Oh, hell yeah.
It's big enough it deserves a drum roll, I think.
I think you're right, Jerry. It definitely deserves a drum. So, on May 31st of next year, Newsworthy is officially going to the Bigfoot Festival in Red River Gorge in Stanton, Kentucky.
Woo!
Yeah, I'm so
Absolutely.
stoked. We're going to be there interviewing people that have had encounters. If you've ever seen a ghost or an alien or the big guy himself, Mr. Bigfoot, if you've seen that, we want to talk to you. Even if you haven't, we'd love for you to stop by our booth and just meet Jerry and Brett. Brett's going to be there.
I will be there.
I'm going to be there. Good Lord willing, and the creek don't rise. For a million years, I always thought that was like a water. That was actually the Indians. The Creek Indians is what they were talking about in that.
Really?
song. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, absolutely. Look it up. I'm going to prove Jerry wrong tonight.
I'm not saying from the person who said it originally. I'm just saying when most people say
That's what
that.
they're thinking.
But they don't understand the original origin
I'm
of
not
that
doubting
saying.
that one bit. I have no clue it
Yeah.
was.
So
yeah.
we are going to be at the Bigfoot Festival. We want to see you there. I believe it's the third year of this festival.
Tell them the date again.
It's May 31st of next year.
Last
Mark
day
it on.
May.
I know some of our listeners are already got it circled. There's already a big Facebook push for this particular episode or this particular event. We want to see you there. We
Yes, we
definitely,
do.
If you're there, come see us. We'll give you some free swag. We love you.
And we want to add this. Logan, Ohio, for several years has what they call the biggest Bigfoot festival in the world.
Yep.
It's time for Kentucky to show Ohio how a Bigfoot festival is done. Please
Absolutely.
come out and help us achieve that.
Absolutely. Love it, love it, love it. Love it. Brett,
I'm excited.
what you got?
I'll tell you what I've
Not
got.
much.
Speaking of Steve, why do foot fetish enjoy losing?
What?
What?
Why do foot fetishists, people who have a foot fetish,
Oh, I got you. Like,
Okay, now
why
we're
do
on
foot fetish enjoy losing?
what?
what?
Because they crave the taste of defeat. Get it?
Ugh.
Defeat.
That just makes me want to throw up.
That is so bad.
Did that hey,
That
did
did
that
a-
joke knock your socks off? I kind of like that joke. It's a step in the right direction.
This is making me want to jump off a bunion. I mean, a canyon.
Don't hate, appreciate.
Oh, jeez. Makes me want to nail myself to the wall.
Why the emphasis on nail?
Like toenail.
Miss that. Sticking with the defeat. I love it.
It's crazy.
Feet are so.
They are.
I remember when I was younger. Of course, I'm married now, so. But when I would. No, no. Listen, it ties it.
He's good. Yeah, he's gonna bring it full
When
circle.
I would date certain girls, and then I would see their feet, and if they were gross, it wasn't working out.
Out. Yeah.
It wasn't working out. Sometimes, usually in the summer, if I was like, thinking, oh, maybe I'll go, talk to her, and I saw her feet and they were gross, I'd be like, nah, like the feet were a big deal. That was a game changer. But anyways,
I wish I could say something, but I totally agree with you. I've literally
You
broken
can
up
say
with-
something
I've
the next
broken-
time we're on Twitch.
I've broken up with people for the same reason. Absolutely.
We want names.
What?
We want names or it didn't happen.
No.
addresses, dates.
You get nut. Why y'all so obsessed with nasty feet?
I'm
nasties?
not. I hate feet.
We're not obsessed with the feet. We're obsessed with the nasty women you were dating.
No, that's never happened.
Okay.
Ever. High class, bro.
I've got a
High
couple
class.
names I could throw out there. We'll take a poll if you want.
No, we
We'll put
will
a
not.
picture. Go ahead.
So Jerry always gives us crap about our passwords.
Mhm. All the time.
All
Because
the time.
no,
Jerry
I
is
don't
the
give them crap about their
king.
passwords. I give them crap about their password.
Whoa,
The problem-
I have many different passwords, just so you
Sure.
know, you
Okay.
hackers out there.
Sure. One
I-
apiece. That's the problem I have with them.
But apparently you can't use beef stew as a password.
Really?
Can't.
No.
Why is that?
Just stroganoff.
Not Stroganoff. I see what you did there. That's a pretty good one. I'd have to say you probably win Joker tonight for that.
How long you had to stew about that joke?
Long enough to beat you and I. Yep.
Oh, and if you guys haven't
Oh.
listened to last week's episode,
You're just going to roast us, aren't you?
it wasn't even a contest. Just completely beat these guys in the
And that's
dad
all it
joke
was
competition.
dad joke. Yeah. Dad joke
yeah,
competition.
Yeah, you and all
Thanks.
your partners.
Yeah, thanks to Steve. I don't think Jerry left any of them, but Steve left it almost all of them. So he helped me out a lot.
Yeah,
Not
we just,
intentionally.
if you ever want to win a dad joke contest with Steve, just give him plenty of cold sweet red and
Oh,
you
yeah,
will
he-
win.
He had a couple bottles in him, and
Yeah, that's pretty rough. That ain't fair, really. I should have, and yet last week, unfortunately, was one of those incidences where we got caught flat-footed without a
A topic, I guess.
topic. We had something planned and nothing happened, and we had
I thought it went well though.
I
was
did
really
too.
worried about it at first, and then we had good
I did
interaction
too.
on Twitch. And
no complaints online. It was fine. It
awesome.
was great. We have a great loyal following too. The people that love us. We've started downloading everything, and not downloading, but sharing everything on X, and we've been hitting 300, 400, 500. Those numbers continue to grow on X. I'm excited for that.
And so on when you share it on X. I'm guessing that has a link to
Sure,
what
absolutely.
Spotify.
Yeah. But they, it's fun. It's a million different things that we do, and I'm excited.
Yeah, what I'm hoping for that is just as people kind of discover even those little snippets, they can come back and listen to our old stuff and hopefully.
I have Jerry and I've done this. We discussed it. We're over 150 episodes. Last week was officially 150 episodes that Spotify recognized. And where we are today versus where we started, those early episodes are almost unbearably, you can't hardly listen to them. They're terrible. Like bad. And I just can't. If you were to told me 150 episodes that we've been doing this show for 150 episodes and this is where we are, I'd have never believed you. I wouldn't have bought it for nothing. What about you, Jerry?
Not even close.
I mean, I am the numbers that keep. We don't have access. The one thing, and we argue about this all the time, and I believe it, that Spotify doesn't do a very good job of tracking true analytics.
They say that themselves. They
and
track their analytics.
Yeah. But the numbers that we produce week in and week out just blow me away. Just thank you to everyone who listens to our program, especially listens to Jerry's nonsense when me and Brett are bringing the truth. So I'm so happy.
I think they come for just Jerry's silky voice.
Well, I think you're right. They tune in for the very first part for Jerry's intro, and they're like, oh.
Thank you, guys. You're far too nice. But we have figured out that everything you're saying is full of crap, right?
No.
I have a face for radio. I have a voice for newspaper. So, considering those things, we established this long ago.
All right. Well, it's been great. We can't wait to get this. Let's not wait. Let's get Lindsay in here and do this episode, shall we?
Sounds good.
Hello, guys, and welcome in, Brett. Today we have an honor to interview a wonderful lady named Lindsay Stanton. Lindsay, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
Lindsay runs the Soul Revival, and she has very personal reasons for doing that. Tell us a little bit about what it is and kind of what got you into this field, and just give us an overview of what it is that you do.
Yeah, absolutely. So, the Soul Revival is really to help people dealing with grief. I would call it traumatic grief, intense grief, any like major loss that they've experienced in their life. And that can look very different for different people, depending on your relationships. It could be a loved one, it could be a pet. But basically, I created it. I would say I actually channeled a lot of it out of my own loss and trying to navigate that pathway on my own, and just finding a total absence of adequate tools layered together in the right ways that could help me. And so I just started out of really survival, started going about that on my own. And as a result, and the way that I was able to kind of keep putting one foot in front of the other, and ultimately ended up transforming my grief pretty significantly. I knew very early on, I received a lot of messages that this was why I was going through the grief that I had experienced, that my deep loss was actually to help other people in, kind of dealing with navigating their own loss and personal situations. And so I did document a lot of the things that I did for myself, which of course had a lot of intentionality behind it. I didn't probably fully see the picture while it was happening, while I was in it, because I was just very much in survival mode. But ultimately, I ended up piecing together quite a few different tools and modalities that aren't even necessarily traditionally used for grief. I actually found that a lot of content more related to self-development, to different spiritual tools and methods, self-help, even trauma tools really tended to resonate and layer together in a way that allowed me to kind of help myself. And then that allowed me to basically create a blueprint that I could provide for others, which is what I now do through the Soul Revival. So essentially, I help people in grief to be able to transform their grief, to be able to learn how to connect with their loved ones on the other side, to uh, really leverage their spiritual connections in a way that helps them not only survive but thrive in their grief and understand what's really the path and kind of what's really what the difference between what society says that we should do, feel, and like timelines associated with it, and what people actually experience going through it are very, very different. And those false expectations can create so much additional stress, overwhelm, and grief in and of themselves. So, kind of foundationally helping people to navigate that and being realistic about what they should give themselves grace with, and to be able to kind of go through the process that way.
Our newest sponsor is JT's Way, and they deal, and their whole mission is helping parents who have lost a child. And to me, that is a kind of grief that I came close to experiencing. I didn't experience it, thank God. But I just, when you start stacking, just like you said, and I'm getting to a question. I know it's kind of long winded. I apologize. But when people, I can't imagine going to a person who's experienced the loss of a child or the loss of a spouse and saying the same words that everybody says at a funeral or everyone that says after a loss. And I'm the world's worst. I talk all the time to anybody, but when it comes to that situation, I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
I don't know how to act. I don't know how to behave.
Right.
So how would you guide someone through that, that very initial step of a loss?
Yeah, number one, I just want to acknowledge that I appreciate you saying that you're, you are being vulnerable enough to admit that you don't know how to address that situation, because so many people feel that way, and I think they just avoid. And that's actually one of the worst things you can do for somebody grieving. Something just so basic as just checking in. Probably the things that resonated the best with me and were most helpful to keep me going were people just checking in on me. And it didn't, like, it takes 2 seconds just to send somebody a text message and, just say, I'm thinking about you, because we all like feel kind of in our body what it would feel like and how overwhelming it would be to lose a spouse or a child. I mean, just you get emotional just even thinking about the concept of it, right? And so
Right.
we all kind of have those like moments where if somebody close to us has experienced loss, we are thinking about them, whether we're playing with our own kids, or, like, I mean, if you are somebody that's grieving, like seeing a couple out in public, like all those things can really trigger somebody grieving, and also like our surrounding community. I would say that probably the biggest thing is just basic, very simple reaching out. It doesn't have to be like, you don't have to say anything like earth shattering, but I would say I always like to err on the side of positive, but I think there are a few major don'ts that I would say, like anything related to setting some type of expectation in the vernacular you're using around time is definitely a no. I mean, you one of the things that people said to me, because my husband passed, and then within 6 months of that, I also lost my closest female friend. And I had people say to me with a decent regularity, oh, you had a really bad year. Well, it's not a really bad year. My life is now, the whole trajectory of my life has changed because of these two people not physically being here anymore. So anything related to like kind of assigning time or time limits around like the length of grief or, related to their experience, I would definitely say avoid that. Just super simple, like anything I can do for you, I'm thinking of you. Like, just it doesn't have to be, like I said, it doesn't have to be anything major. And then also recognize too that the further out the person gets from the actual loss, the less communication they're receiving from people. So people have a tendency right after a loss to send cards, send flowers, check in on people. But then as time passes, you hear from less and less people. And, that's probably when it gets the toughest because it's like very, very quiet. And I know for me also certain times of the day were more challenging. I was fine during the day because I could keep myself very busy with work, but in the evening was a real struggle. So, those close to me that like knew me well would check in on me in the evenings, knowing that that's my most vulnerable time.
Nice. Nice.
It's nice that you've obviously going through grief. I've fortunately never gone through any grief, even similar to a spouse or a child. I've lost several grandparents and things like that, but because I've not been through that, I wouldn't know. Kind of like what you were saying, I wouldn't know how to care for somebody that would be close to me that had gone through that. And so when I was looking at your book, and I was like, oh well, this is really good for people who are grieving, but as I'm hearing you talk, it's almost nice for people that haven't gone through it yet, just to know, or know somebody who's going through grieving, just to know.
Use it as a reference manual.
Right. Like, yeah, how should I try and help them? Because I think that I would be tempted, kind of like what you were saying, is to just not reach, or maybe reach out at the beginning, kind of like what you were saying, but I could definitely see myself, peering off there towards the end. And I think it's awesome that people like you, this is really a question, but I think it's awesome that people like you, have used their suffering, their grief as to help others, because I know, my wife and I, we've had troubles in our marriage, and it's nice to have people who are also married to bounce ideas, because you want people with similar experiences to help you through things. I think you being able to provide that is awesome.
Thank you.
So, Lindsay, in many of your interviews in your book, you said that you still have a connection, a very active connection with your husband. What were some of the first signs that you sensed that he was still present in some way?
Yeah, absolutely. So we were lucky enough to actually be able to have conversations about it before he passed because he was in hospice for a few weeks. I would say that anybody out there who's experienced loss and didn't have opportunities to have those conversations, it's not predicated on that. Like, you absolutely can open that pathway at any point. I mean, if you lost somebody 20 years ago and you want to be able to tap into, communicating with them, you 100% can. It's always available to us. They are always surrounding us. But for us, because we had a lot of those early conversations, I think that the pathway just opened very, very fast. Actually, the first sign I got from him was literally like the moment after he passed away. And
Wow.
I knew it was from him. I had played him a couple songs the night before, and which was something I had not done. And one of them was God Whispered Your Name by Keith Urban. And I'm going to get emotional just talking about that. But
Okay.
as soon as he passed, I was trying to get there in time, which I wasn't able to do. And as soon as he passed, like, my radio wasn't in, my Bluetooth, nothing was connecting in my car because it was like chaos, right? Just grab your shoes and run, right? Or whatever, purse, whatever, just get out the door. But my car had not connected to my phone or anything yet, and all of a sudden, that song started playing on my car. And I knew the
wow.
second that it started playing that was the minute. And then right after, I got the phone call.
Wow.
So you guys, you said that you all talked about uh, this kind of stuff before he passed. Had you heard about things like this happening before, or was it? Because I know when my grandparents passed, my grandma always said that she would come back and give us signs and stuff like that. But um, had you ever experienced loss where you felt some sort of connection before then?
I
How did that?
did. I would say that not anywhere to the extreme or intensity that I have and do now, but early, like when I was younger, grandparents passing and stuff, I definitely just I guess intuitively knew that I could kind of call on them. I remember times when like I was probably out of college and like kind of asking them for help in situations and things like that. And just having that intuitive recognition that I could call on them for love and support when I was going through something tough. So I think I've always been open to it. I think, I would say that like I've got multiple family members who definitely are very tapped in and very intuitive. So, but again, that's not necessary to be able to do this. Literally anyone can do this. Once you open yourself up to it and you trust in the ability to do it, you'll just start to recognize more and more signs and communication. But yes, I did have that definitely when I was younger, just not anywhere near the extent of what it's been since he passed.
So, do you consider this the same as people that have like pre what's the word pre gosh, I can't think of the word. Like if people can see into the future,
Oh,
and
like
what I mean
psychic?
by that is, yeah, exactly. I have a great aunt, an aunt that I used to do retail management, and I was working in a store in Ohio. I tell everybody this story because it blew me away. And I had not received anything. And my aunt calls me up out of the blue and she goes, "Well, when are you going to tell us?" And I was like, "Tell you what?" She goes, "About your trip out west that you're about to take." And I'm like, "I'm not going out west. I was in Ohio." And the next day I went to work and I got the news that they were transferring me to Salmon, Idaho, which happened to be the longest corporate move that they'd ever done at the time. So, and she is very open to a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
She gets signs and signals and she feels things or gets nudges in very various ways.
Yes.
Is it the same
Yeah, so
or
I
is
would
it
say,
different?
yeah, ditto to everything you just said. I definitely, what's so beautiful about this work, and the more you kind of tap into your own abilities, the more it comes to you. So, I always kind of liken it to a kid receiving a gift at Christmas. Like we know how much joy we get as adults when we see the joy in someone else when we give them a gift. That's basically kind of akin to the other side and what it's like when they send us a sign and we recognize it and we express
Oh
gratitude
wow.
for it. So they're more
I
excited
would
to give us more things.
I would have never that just that statement alone just blew my mind. I would have
Right.
never thought of it in that way, but it makes perfect and total sense.
So when did you figure out that? Because I feel like if this would have happened to me, I would have been like, okay, this is I just have some special gift. Like, how did you figure out that other people can tap into this, even if they aren't as, um,
Open.
yeah, right.
That's a really good question. I guess I just really trust in all of our divine support teams. And I know there's nothing specific to me. I mean, obviously, we're all on our own individual journeys. And so, how it impacts me and how I use it is going to be specific to me. But I also recognize that this is available for everyone. And I guess I just intuitively, to really answer your question, I would say I probably just intuitively knew that if it was available for me, it's got to be available for everybody. And I really felt called early on. I knew almost, I would say within less than a year of Roger passing that I was going to be writing a book that I was going to be, and I knew it was going to be channeled. And it's funny when I wrote the book, I physically wrote it first and then typed everything out. And literally, I couldn't even keep up with how fast the words were coming to me. I couldn't physically write
Wow.
as fast as they were coming to me. And even as I was writing the book, I knew that was just going to be a stepping stone into something bigger, some larger way that I was being called to help people, and that was really the why. And I feel like that's actually an important part of my coaching is for each one of us who've experienced significant loss, there is a why. And I know sometimes it can be a struggle to think of it like that, um, that this happened for a reason. But truly, I do believe that it does happen for a reason. And there, we are all part of just such an enormous connective tissue. And when we do something, and it could be something little to impact somebody else, the ripple effect of that is just enormous. We don't even get to see it all from, this human vantage point, but from the other side, they get to see the impact that every little wave that we create as humans matters. And I do feel like just being able to help one person can make all the difference in the world and the ripple effect that that has.
Our pastor at my church will often talk about, whatever you do today isn't about you and it isn't about the person you did it for. It's about the generations after for the very similar reasons. One kindness to one person may break a stronghold. Um, so do you believe that most of that stuff is set on like a pattern of vibrations in the world? Because I've delved into some of the research and I'm just scratching the surface. But the more we learn about frequency and vibration, the more we have absolutely no idea about frequency and vibration in the world. Do you think that has a part to play?
100%. And, kind of going to your point, I feel like science is catching up now with spirituality. And there's so much science-based evidence to prove out, what spiritual practices have known for, eons. And I think at the end of the day, the way and the reason why we're able to receive so many signs and messages from our loved ones on the other side in the angelic realm is because it's everything's energetics at the end of the day. And to your point, everything is on the other side, everything's very high vibrational. Obviously, we're in like a lower density, human energy form. And so one part of establishing communication with the other side is like helping rise our vibration, whether that's through visualization, meditation, listening to high megahertz music, all that helps us kind of bridge the gap.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
incredible. The as smart as we think we are, we don't know anything in this
Yeah.
world. God.
Yeah. I agree. Well,
Yeah.
and that's why I think it is so. I think it's high vibrational to be continuously learning. I mean, I've deep dived into so many different modalities and different, areas and realms. Just the fact, like, I've got so many of my friends now that what I would consider the contingent of my friend base that are mediums. And like, if you told me that 4 years ago, not that I would have been thought anything negative about it, but I would have been like, really?
Now, your friends that are mediums, are they mediums after like talking with you and being able to connect with their loved ones, or had they always just had some sort of an innate ability?
I would say most of the mediums that I'm friends with, that like has been their calling, for years, and that's like how I met them. But one of the amazing things about doing this work is you are in containers and exposed to people that are running at this higher vibrational state. And one thing I've absolutely noticed is when I'm working with clients and when I'm like talking to others, people that are in the spiritual space, when you're in community with each other, you're collectively rising the vibration just through conversation. And it's crazy. I mean, friends of mine who are, either clients or, have done a lot of the work in this space, like we just tend to see so many more signs and angel numbers and get messages and things while we're together because we are, kind of collectively raising the vibration. So
That's awesome. So let me ask a question back towards your grief again. When you realized that you had this bond with your husband, did it obviously it brought you emotional comfort, but how do you navigate the emotional complexities of maintaining this kind of bond? To me, that would be very, uh, like, there, and I'll try to explain what I mean. There is very emotion, you would be very driven to be very loyal and to be very honored, but there is still a life to live. And how do you maintain that balance? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I think, first of all, recognizing that we all are love and all connected through love, universally. So whether we're here physically or on the other side, the energy of love is the common thread through all of us. So knowing that, that they want us to be in as much joy as possible when we're here, whatever that looks like for you. And that might be different for me than it is for somebody else who's experienced the loss of like a spouse specifically. But just knowing and trusting in that, again, like we were able to have some of those deeper conversations before he passed. And I had asked, and this is something anybody can do again, even if your, loved one's already passed, but I'd asked for specific signs and messages if, someone was to come through for me, that he was providing to me, or he was coming through someone to me. So I think those types of things can help with that. And then just, yeah, I mean, I feel like it's always a little bit of a balance. We are more than our, meat suits, as Gary Zukav would call it here in this physical incarnation, and just recognizing that, but also knowing that our souls have a specific calling and journey that they are meant to go on here in this physical incarnation, and just like trusting in that path.
Nice. Nice. So we've talked a lot about being able, and anyone's being able to reach and communicate with our loved ones in the beyond. How does one go about doing that?
Yeah, I mean, a couple easy things I would say, or things to make it a little simpler. I love doing it at night. I love kind of foundationally setting the steps before I go to bed at night, because I would say we're in a dream state. We are more open to receive communication from the other side. So one thing that I do is very much protect my sleep, and I meditate before I go to bed. And I know some people like to meditate in the morning. I would say if you're looking to connect with the other side, doing a short meditation before you go to sleep will definitely help open the pathway. Visualizations also are great. They kind of are a really great way for us to tap into the connection with our person on the other side. And it could be as simple as taking yourself back to a memory that you had with your loved one on the other side. It's kind of akin to knocking on their door and asking them to visit you. And while you're having that visualization, I mean, I can feel in my body like the physical presence of them being there. So those are some of the simple ones I would suggest.
That's awesome. Now, I have a question on the flip side. How do you protect yourself against things that you don't want to invite? I mean, when you're dealing with the spiritual realm, you can't just have the good without the bad. If you have any biblical beliefs at all, you know that that's possible. So, how do you protect yourself against the things that would like to come in and wreak havoc in your life?
Yeah, I'm a firm believer in positive out, positive in. Like, I think that when we're thinking about positive energy, and we're thinking about the angelic realm, we're thinking about our loved ones, we're inherently calling that into us. I know some people feel necessary to kind of add an additional layer of protection beyond that. I've never had any type of bad, like negative experience, or even just creepy, ghosty type of vibration. It's always been high vibration, but that's
Yeah.
kind of what I carry myself at. If you feel like you want to quote unquote protect yourself, you can just set an intention that only good, positive, energy from God and or source energy come through to you. You can say different things like that to invite in. I would say it is important, because we do have free will. Just kind of along that track, we do have free will to do what we want. So if we are looking for the other side to kind of help us with something that we're dealing with, we have to ask. So our angels are always available to us, our spirit team, our loved ones are always available to us, but they're waiting for us to kind of give them the cue that, okay, you can help me.
Oh wow. Yeah, that's true. That's very true.
I like what you say about like positive in, positive out, because I could see if somebody was trying to access the spiritual realm for their own personal gain, greed, power, whatever. That is that would be negative, and you're just inviting negativity in. But if you're reaching out to a loved one purely out of love, I think that I see what you're saying as far as it kind of protects you in a way to make
Exactly.
sure.
If someone wanted to learn more about you and what you do, where could they do that at?
The soulrevival.com is my website, but honestly, I'm super active on Instagram. My Instagram handle is at the Healing Grief Guide. I do lives every Wednesday. I am constantly posting and doing lives where I'm inviting in different guests in the spiritual space and talking about different modalities. So that's kind of the easiest way to get to know me and see if my energy resonates with you to work with me.
That's amazing.
That's awesome.
Lindsay, we appreciate so very much that you've joined us this evening. And we can't wait to see what you have in your future because I think it's going to be amazing.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
no, thank you so much.
What a great conversation. But we're not done yet. Stick around through these very important ads for an awesome bonus story. JT's Way is a Christ-centered, nonprofit organization with a call to help hurting families during the loss of a child. At JT's Way, they assist families grieving from the loss of a child through assistance with things like funeral expenses, emotional support, guidance through the grief process, and help in their healing journey. While paying for funeral expenses, they help navigate picking a funeral home, burial plot, or cremation services, and provide families with grief counseling resources. JT was 17 years old when he died unexpectedly in an automobile accident. He was a senior in high school and a student in the automotive class. JT loved cars and music, and he took his role of friend very seriously and made sure to make friends wherever he went. Their mission at JT's Way is to minister to families by financially assisting and connecting them with their local resources. These resources will assist in the financial and emotional burden of burying a child. Their aim is to aid in the healing process for parents and families, and these resources include grief counseling and parent-sibling groups. The outside world doesn't stop, but we can tell you from experience that a parent's world certainly does. In a time of desperate hopelessness, JT's Way provides hope. If you want to help support JT's Way in their mission, please reach out to them at www.jtsway.com. JT would often say, "Let me challenge you to make a friend, be a friend, and most importantly, bring a friend to the loving arms of Jesus Christ."
Hi, this is Ed Locke with USA Mortgage. Buying your first home can be overwhelming, but here are 5 tips to make the process go smoother. Number 1, find a lender, me, Ed Locke, that can answer any questions you might have and help you get pre-approved. There are multiple options available based on your situation. Number 2, work with a real estate agent you can trust. Number 3, don't rush the process. Take your time and know that the process could take some time. Number 4, consider all the costs. Number 5, get a home inspection and review it with your realtor. Keep these tips in mind, budget for yourself, and you'll be that much closer to making your dream of homeownership a reality. So reach out to me at 502-680-0953. NMLS ID 448908, DAS Acquisition Company, LLC, doing business as USA Mortgage, NMLS ID 227262. This is not a commitment to lend. Additional terms and conditions apply. USA Mortgage is an equal housing opportunity.
If you would like to share suggestions for future episodes, or simply tell us how much you love or hate us, reach out to us via email at newsworthywithsteveandjerry@gmail.com or text us at area code 540-709-1318. And now, back to the story.
Standing at over 8 feet tall. Tonight we talk about the White Walker, an ancient indigenous legend, hearkening back to a time when wigwams and teepees dotted the main landscape rather than buildings and roads. The White Walker is said to be a tall, lumbering, feral beast, similar in size and appearance to the Bigfoot of the Pacific Northwest. However, the White Walker is said to be covered in white fur, not brown or black, as in the case of Bigfoot. Indigenous Americans had many names for what we now call White Walkers. One, Kiowaka, translates as walk about the woods. As legend goes, this creature was once a man, but became possessed by dark magic and turned to a horrible beast when the man committed often crimes against his tribespeople. The legend says that once turned into a White Walker, the creature wanders the northern forest at night, hunting humans, shrieking its shrill and piercing cry, and preyed on lonely travelers who journey through the woods alone. While some stories say that the White Walker's heart is made of ice and can be purified with certain herbal medicines, the White Walker and returning him to a human state. There are very few accounts of this being done successfully. So the White Walker and the legend continues. And Jerry, if you can't see the light,
Be the light.